Happy Monday, everyone. Okay, so I know I've done my fair share of critiquing when it comes to Marvel Spider-Man 2, and so it makes a little sense when I end videos by saying I love the game. You guys often ask, why? And so this video will aim to give you a few reasons why I love this game in spite of the flaws, and why I still return to it time and time again. Here are 5 things that Spider-Man 2 does right, and you know we can't start a video like this without mentioning the swinging. I think the swinging in the first Spider-Man was one of the near undisputed strengths. Sure, it held your hand a little bit, but it had a near perfect blend of freedom and cinematics. Now, personally, I was happy with it, but I was really hoping for more speed. I think a lot of people don't realize just how slow the swinging was in both the first game and Miles Morales, because holy hell do you fly across the map in the sequel. And while there were tons of improvements to traversal on the whole, the speed is by far the most impactful. Especially given that the map has practically doubled in size, being able to launch yourself like a bullet across the map makes general traversal more fun because there is an inherent skill ceiling. Moving faster means we need to think faster, and thus there is a skill curve throughout the game, and this is heightened by the swing assist settings. Another issue that people had with the first game was that it held your hand a little too much. Now, I believe in order to make the player look cool, or at least let them do so without forcing them to climb an Everest-sized learning curve, you need to take a bit of control away from them, and automate part of the process. It would suck to slam into the ground over and over or clip part of a lamppost, ending the freedom of expression that is web swinging. So, the game just handles that for you. It's the same reason why when slamming into a wall, if you just hold the swing button, you'll run up that wall. It's a way of making your multitude of mistakes look like a free-form expression. But after a few years, players know the system inside and out, and thus are ready to take the training wheels off, and disabling swing assist is the first step to that. It doesn't remove all the restrictions, you can still only loop-de-loop once, but it made the typical learning curve of the game just a bit steeper, giving something for returning players to tinker with. Finally, the swinging was enhanced by all the new moves you can pull off, slingshots, loop-de-loops, air tricks for Peter, and some air boosts for him too. Of course, a lot of the reinvigoration seen in the swinging comes down to the animations, which aren't exactly a new mechanic, but do enhance the experience, and enhance the differences between the two Spider-Men. Peter continues to move like a figure skater striking poses, while Miles continues to let his momentum dictate whatever direction his body flings towards. There are some other things that enhance the traversal like the wingsuit, the wind tunnels, and of course the way it meshes with the design of the city and vice versa plays a role too, but I think I've made my points enough. The swinging in this game is so much better, and when I come back to Spider-Man specifically to swing, it means I'm coming back to Spider-Man 2. To jump off of what I mentioned about the city design, I also think the design of the city is significantly better here, and it's for a few reasons. Let's get visuals out of the way first, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I think everyone agrees that, yes, the graphics here are better. But I do want to call attention to the fact that, despite the technical improvements, there's a stark aesthetic difference here that separates it from the first game. Somehow, despite having the same city, New York in Spider-Man 1, 2, and Miles Morales has completely different vibes, and I think a lot of that comes down to color. Spider-Man 1 was a very orange game, suit not withholding, and Spider-Man 2, on the other hand, strikes me as a far more vibrant game. Does that make it better? Well, for me, yeah. I like vibrance. I like when a game has a variety of colors, and I'm a sucker for seeing a blank canvas of concrete be filled with flora, neon, and gusts of wind. New York just has so much detail this time around, and it's especially incredible given how quickly you move through it. It's a spectacular city, but what I really like about it is how it's designed, especially the east side. Brooklyn and Queens offer much lower buildings, which offers new utility for the web wings, and of course, it makes swinging a bit more challenging, especially when the swing assist is turned off. When we factor in the wind tunnels added to the map to aid traversal, I find this concrete playground much more engaging to explore, and it's a feast for the eyes too. I can't say I love how cluttered it is when you haven't cleaned up the side activities, but once it's at 100%, it really feels like the city is at peace. The third thing that Spider-Man 2 does right is the character designs. This is something Insomniac have always nailed, but I really want to call attention to just how great the designs for the different suits are here. Miles and Peter both get a fantastic mask lift, and the suit Harry wears in the story is fantastic as well. People love to hate on the story for this game, and I can't blame them, but you gotta admit, the designs for characters like Venom are the best we've seen in a game thus far. Even Mr. Negative gets a great new look here. Also, I don't care what anyone says about MJ because the drip in this game was on another level. I know that's a hot take, but the sweater over the dress shirt is a combo that I will never get over. This extends to the suits too. While sure, there were a lot of suits here that I wish had returned from the previous games, I think what we have looks fantastic. Even the Advanced Suit 1.0, my personal favorite, just looks better here. Thanks to the PS5, we are able to get better details on the suits, though without the muscle deformation, and the movie suits here look much better too. The difference between the web suit in Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man 2 is like night and day. Also, a hot take to end all hot takes is that I like the flying fresh suits. I know they are dumb, but they are just kind of fun suits that I love in a game like this. Not every suit needs to be a perfect comic accurate ripped off the page homage. We can have goofy ones too. Okay, so the last two things we've mentioned are more aesthetic things that, while important, don't directly relate to the gameplay, which is the point of any game. So let's move on to another great thing about this game, which is the boss fights. I think the boss fights in Spider-Man 1 were pretty good, don't get me wrong, but I think they were significantly improved upon in Miles Morales. Hell, that Tinkerer fight is probably in the top 3 for the series, but mechanically, I think the boss fights in Spider-Man 2 are a massive step up. Our first boss fight against Sandman isn't much mechanically, but as far as spectacle goes, is insane. I mean, every opening in the series is nutso, but this game specifically has an electric opening. I genuinely am never going to get over it. However, I found the fights against the non-skyscraper-sized enemies to be even better than Sandman, and a lot of that comes down to the parry. Sure, I think adding a parry is a strange decision that debatably doesn't even fit with Peter's fighting style, but when looking at how much it adds to these encounters, it's hard to not see why it was added in the first place. Especially for the Lizard, Kraven, and Venom who have combos that mix in parryable attacks with ones that need to be dodged or combos that need to be parried consecutively to initiate a stagger is fantastic. It allows bosses to be more aggressive, and it results in fights that are significantly harder than the first game, which isn't something the series explicitly needed, but is definitely something I explicitly appreciate. I also love that the bosses have different phases now too, and often span multiple arenas. This is mostly spectacle and thus might not be that important to the people who care about mechanics more, but I think when the visuals are this dialed up, it's hard to ignore. I mean, people often say, where did the $300 million budget go? And the answer is, have you seen the first fucking boss fight? It starts in the financial district and ends in Brooklyn. Then, the Lizard has 2 different arenas, and Venom alone has a boss fight that literally lasts 20 minutes from the moment you start with Peter to ending with the QuickTime event at the Emily May Foundation. If you watched my previous video on the boss fights between Arkham City and Arkham Origins, then you'll know that I generally measure a boss fight's quality based on the impact, spectacle, and mechanics. As far as spectacle goes, Spider-Man 2 blows everything else out of the water. Mechanically, I think the game does much better thanks to the parrying mechanics, and specifically the ending fight against Venom has you using sound and the anti-Venom suit in interesting ways, even if, to be honest, I don't like the anti-Venom suit that much. I think my favorite fight is against Venom, which I'm sure no one is surprised by, but I want to highlight another fantastic moment, which is the Miles vs. Peter fight. Everything leading to this fight is fantastic, and the best part is, we all saw it coming from miles away. Even when the trailer for this game first dropped, everyone knew that a Miles vs. Peter fight was going to happen, and yet, it is still so good. The environment, the dialogue, the music, oh my god, don't even get me started. Look, I still think the Miles Morales game has the best music, but some of the tracks in this game are straight bangers, and this is one of them. I've always loved when games make you fight a version of yourself, and seeing us on the other end of Peter's powers was a great moment. I also like that the symbiote gives us the right excuse to have 2 Spider-Men duke it out. I know some people have a problem with Miles winning, but shit, what was supposed to happen? We lose no matter what and Peter just takes over the world? Is that actually what you want? Actually, never mind, don't answer that. Since the last segment probably annoyed a few people, let's move on to the final thing that Spider-Man 2 does well, or at least much better than the first game, and that is the MJ missions. Now, I know people hate MJ in this game, and I get it, on the writing front there were a lot of issues, but come on! The gameplay here is much better than the first game. I'm alongside the camp that thinks the human missions shouldn't be in the game in the first place, but when Brian Intihar says this,
We're gonna do it. We're gonna look at the criticisms and see what we can do right.
I think he meant it. Now, not only do we spend less time as Mary Jane with only 3 missions instead of the 4 in the base game, we have more player agency too with the stun gun and the different gadgets attached to it. Sure, I don't think MJ should be sneaking through hunter bases and risking her life in the 9th circle of hell while Miles is doing the important job of distracting the symbiotes, but purely from a mechanical point of view, I'd much rather play as Spider-Man 2 MJ than Spider-Man 1 MJ. I think it's also important to remember that the whole strength of these side character segments is that they show the world from a perspective of the powerless. The best human mission in the first game was when sneaking around the Rhino as Miles, and in a similar vein, the best mission as MJ here is when in the tunnel, running away from symbiote Peter. I think this is the perfect means for us to play as someone who isn't Spider-Man, because it directly helps us see the havoc he causes, and it's a perspective we don't often see. I've always maintained that having a horror game where you play as a bad guy trying to avoid Spider-Man would be awesome, and this level is a perfect proof of concept. I still hope that the non-Spider-Man segments are cut down in the next game, especially with how much of it is just us bike riding or playing carnival games, but I think if they're done like this all the time, then I wouldn't mind them as much. Today's video is sponsored by jumping up and down 50 times when you wake up. It's gonna sound stupid, I know, but trust me, I am very sluggish in the morning, and something that I found that has helped exponentially when it comes to just like getting up in the morning is when you get up, you just do 50 little hops. They don't have to be crazy, just small little hops. And I'm telling you, it's gonna keep you energized far more than coffee or anything. I'm gonna be honest, I drink a little G Fuel in the morning, you know how it is. But I'm telling you, this shit has changed my life. I've been doing this for the last 2 or 3 months. It's fantastic. So keep taking care of yourselves. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy the rest of the video. So there you have it. Those are 5 things I think Spider-Man 2 does right. Now, don't get me wrong, this doesn't remove all the things it doesn't do right, but I think for as much as there are valid criticisms of this game, people can be really harsh on it when it isn't totally deserved. Maybe it's because it was such a massive letdown, but I think it's funny that people hate on this game so much, and yet colossal failures like Mind's Eye sort of come and go. I think it has to be down to the fact that Spider-Man 2 really could have been greater, but I think that also shouldn't completely discount the greatness that is still here. So hopefully this more positive video on the game is a bit of a palate cleanser, and I want to thank you so much not just for watching, but for 10,000 subscribers on this channel. Thank you so much, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your day.